Your savings account reads $327. You refresh the app, still $327. You tell yourself you'll save more next month, but next month becomes next year. Life happens. Rent, bills, car repairs, unexpected expenses. The money arrives, the money leaves, and somehow the number never changes. Then one day something feels different. The account reads $1,000. Not enough to change your life, but enough to change your breathing. For the first time, an unexpected expense doesn't immediately become a disaster. The car repair still hurts, but it doesn't create panic. The fear becomes smaller. Not gone, smaller. Then comes $2,000. Then $5,000. Then, one morning, you realize something strange. You are no longer checking your bank account with anxiety. You're checking it with curiosity. For years, your account looked like a train station. Money arrived. Money left. Nothing stayed. Now something is staying. Something is growing. And growth changes people. You start saying no to purchases you once would have made instantly. Not because you can't afford them, because for the first time, protecting your future feels better than upgrading your present. Then one morning it happens. You open your banking app, the number says $10,000. You stare at it for longer than you expected. Not because it's a fortune, because it isn't, but because for the first time in your adult life, the future feels slightly less dangerous. At first, nothing changes. You still live in the same apartment, drive the same car, wake up to the same alarm, go to the same job. From the outside, your life looks exactly the same. But inside your head, something has shifted. For years, every unexpected expense carried a question. How am I going to pay for this? Now, the question sounds different. Which account should I use? That difference sounds small. It isn't. Because financial stress isn't created by spending money. It's created by having no margin for error. The dentist appointment stops feeling like bad news. The broken phone stops feeling like an emergency. The late paycheck stops feeling like a disaster. You begin sleeping differently, checking your banking app less often, thinking about money less often, because survival uses energy. A lot of energy. For years, your brain treated every month like a battlefield. Bills, deadlines, due dates, balances. Now, for the first time, there is space between you and the problem. And space changes everything. Because distance creates options. And options create freedom. Not complete freedom. Not yet. But enough freedom to breathe. Enough freedom to think. Enough freedom to stop living in permanent financial defense mode. That is the real reason $10,000 changes people. Not because it makes them rich, because it makes them feel safe. For the first time, maybe safer than they have felt in years. Then something unexpected happens. You stop making decisions from fear. For years, every financial decision had one goal: survive until next month. The cheaper option, the safer option, the option that protects you from disaster. But $10,000 changes the conversation. For the first time, you can think beyond the next paycheck. You can think in years, not weeks. You start noticing opportunities you couldn't see before. The course that could increase your income. The business idea that once felt too risky. The job opportunity in another city. The investment account you kept promising yourself you would open someday. Because financial pressure narrows your vision. Security expands it. When survival stops consuming every thought, ambition finally has room to exist. You begin understanding something wealthy people discovered years ago. Money isn't power. Money is time. Time to think. Time to plan. Time to wait for the right opportunity instead of grabbing the first one that appears. For years, your decisions were controlled by urgency. Now, some of them can be controlled by strategy. That changes careers, relationships, businesses, entire lives. Because the person with savings negotiates differently than the person without them. Confidence sounds different when desperation isn't in the room. And sometimes that difference changes everything. Then comes the biggest change of all. You stop tolerating things you used to accept. The toxic job suddenly feels optional. The terrible boss suddenly feels temporary. The endless overtime suddenly feels negotiable. Because for years, your paycheck had a kind of power over you. Not because your employer controlled you, because your bills did. Every month, your salary arrived carrying your survival with it. Miss one paycheck and the system started collapsing. That changes when you have savings. Now, losing a job would still hurt, but it wouldn't destroy you. And there is a huge difference between pain and danger. For the first time, walking away becomes possible. Walking away from bad jobs, bad deals, bad opportunities, sometimes even bad relationships. Because dependence changes behavior. Independence changes behavior too. People can feel desperation. They can hear it in your voice, see it in your decisions, notice it in your negotiations. But confidence has a language too. And financial security speaks it fluently. You start asking different questions. Not, can I survive if this goes wrong? But, is this actually what I want? That question changes careers. It changes cities. Sometimes it changes entire lives. Because the first $10,000 doesn't buy luxury. It buys leverage. And leverage quietly changes everything. But the biggest change isn't in your bank account. It's in your mind. For years, money felt like water. No matter how much arrived, it disappeared. You stopped trusting yourself with money. Stopped believing you were the kind of person who could build wealth. Then $10,000 happens. And suddenly the story changes. Because numbers become evidence. Evidence that you can delay gratification. Evidence that you can plan long term. Evidence that maybe you are more disciplined than you thought. The account balance becomes more than money. It becomes proof. Proof that your future can be different from your past. This is why the first $10,000 feels different from the second. The second proves you can repeat the process. The first proves you can do it at all. And that distinction matters. Because before wealth exists in your bank account, it has to exist in your identity. You stop saying, I'm bad with money. You stop saying, I'll never be financially successful. Because reality is arguing with you now. The evidence says otherwise. The balance says otherwise. For the first time, financial freedom stops feeling like something rich people have, and starts feeling like something you might actually reach. Not next year. Not soon. But someday. And someday is powerful. Because hopeless people don't invest. Hopeless people don't plan. Hopeless people don't think 30 years ahead. Hope changes behavior. And behavior changes lives. That is what the first $10,000 really buys. Not wealth. Not luxury. Not status. Possibility. The strange thing about money is that the numbers matter less than the distance they create. Distance from emergencies. Distance from desperation. Distance from bad decisions made under pressure. The first $10,000 doesn't remove problems. It changes your relationship with them. The car repair becomes an inconvenience, not a crisis. The unexpected expense becomes frustrating, not terrifying. The layoff becomes painful, not catastrophic. That difference is invisible to people who have never experienced it. But the people who have never forget it. Because for most of your life, money felt like oxygen. You only noticed it when there wasn't enough of it. Then, suddenly, you can breathe. Not perfectly, not permanently, but enough to realize how exhausted you've been. And once you've experienced that feeling, it's almost impossible to go back. You save differently, spend differently, invest differently, think differently. Because the first $10,000 teaches you something school never did. Money is not about buying more things. Money is about buying more choices. The choice to wait, the choice to leave, the choice to say no, the choice to take risks, the choice to protect your future self, and eventually you realize something that changes everything. The goal was never $10,000. The goal was becoming the kind of person capable of saving it, because once that person exists, the next $10,000 becomes easier. Then the next, until one day you look back and realize the account changed your finances, but the process changed you. And in the end, that was always the more valuable investment.